Okay, Peggy.
We're live.
Yeah, we should be live now.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello. I hope you guys are doing great. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. Today, we are on a very interesting topic. We are talking about, in fact, before we even start the topic, I just want to ask you as a parent a question. Have you ever been pushed to the point where you don't even know what else to do? Right. Today, we are going to be talking about what are some of the effective alternative way or form of discipline, because we know what it has cost so many parents. So for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Peggy Barre. I am the founder of Arise and Thrive Academy. And let me just pass you to Nelly to introduce herself. And of course, we've got somebody is with us today, Vivan. So if he wants to introduce himself, he's going to introduce himself. But Nelly, let me pass you on to Nelly to introduce herself.
Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to another very interesting session today. My name is Nelly Kwasunu. I'm a social worker, transformational life coach, and co-founder of Hand in Hand Community CIC. So today we'll be talking about physical chastisement or physical discipline or corporal discipline, anyone that you want to use. But all in all, it's about beating, smacking, and even biting our children in the form of disciplining. So for today, we'll be looking at what are the alternatives. But before we look at the alternative ways of disciplining our children, we will look at the history. Because speaking to a lot of parents, they say that smacking our children or physical chastisement or physical discipline comes natural. But then looking at it deeply, it has come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So we will look at a brief history of it because it is massive. And then we will go to look at the alternative. But before we look at the alternative, we will look at the statistics. Peggy, can you just do
Yes.
a bit of intro? Let
Yes.
me share.
So I don't know what we've got. We've got Vivan backstage with us. I know he's gone off camera, but I'm sure he's still listening. Oh, hi. Hi, Vivan. And is it Priska?
Yeah.
Right, you're muted, sir. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Vivan, and hi. Is that Priska?
Yes, Priska. How are
Okay,
you?
hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Peggy.
yeah. Hi,
Hi,
how?
Nelly.
Hi, Priska. Oh, thank you so much for joining.
It's okay.
Yes, so we don't know whether do you just want us to just flow with the conversation, or do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, okay. It's only the introduction. We introduce ourselves. What do you want me to say? I'm Priska. This is my part. This is my husband.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So we're just gonna go with the flow. Like we say, it's a conversation that we always kind of just have. Today we are talking about a very interesting topic, and I was just saying to Nelly, I did not know about the term chastisement. When I was growing up, I know about spanking, I know about beating, I know about, the one that we do, we take slippers and then but
Smart.
I come to a country where I start hearing the term chastisement. And then when parents come to me, they say, Peggy, social service have taken my children and they're saying that I chastise them. What does that mean? Now, Nelly is in the house. Nelly is a children's social worker, and I'm sure Nelly is going to be giving us insight because I think she's got first-hand knowledge and first-hand experience about all of these terms and all of these things. And before we even dive into it, Nelly is going to give us some statistics, but I also want to admit that whether you're watching, wherever you're watching, whether you're in the UK, abroad, in Africa, wherever, I don't know about the policies there, but then what we're discussing is still the same. Children are children. But other places, in other countries, they are very strict. The regulation is very, very strict. And I've been working with a lot of parents in the community where their children are being taken. In fact, they go to school, they don't come back. Why? because either mommy did something or daddy did something, which for us in our community we see as normal. But in the country where we live in, it is not acceptable. So that is why it's very important we talk about these things so that we don't lose our children to the social service just for some things that we can avoid. So I will pass you on to Nelly to give us some statistics and again maybe some little back history of where this whole thing all started.
Okay, thank you so much, Peggy, for that. I just want to say, Mercy, you are welcome. Mercy is not on camera. Oh, there she is. She is a social worker as well. So just us here today, we have all of us are in the health and social care setting, or we health and social care setting. So we know the language that we are using because we are familiar with it. So just a brief history of physical chastisement, because speaking to a lot of parents, they say physical chastisement, if I beat my child, that is the only way I can make my child to listen. And where is this coming from? I was looking at some history on the origin of physical chastisement. It's down from culture, religion, politics, and all of this is around moral framework. So to make our children to listen, because parents want to bring up children who are obedient. And obedient children, it goes back to the moral aspects of it. So because when children are being smacked, beaten, they do what they are required to do immediately. So that gives parents the satisfaction. But the chastisement doesn't take place only at home, though majority can be at home, but sometimes in societies or in organizations, in schools, there is the corporal punishment. Like when I was growing up, I went to boarding school, and the physical, they call it corporal punishment that I received in boarding school from other students. It was horrible. For instance, sometimes we used to wake up 4 a.m. in the morning on Saturday mornings to go for assembly, to do manual labor. And when we go, the punishment that sometimes you'll be punished for, say one person in your class does something wrong, everyone in that class or whole year is being punished. Sometimes we will be asked to carry sand and then carry water, pour water on the sand, and we will have to kneel on the sand and creep on the sand. So that one is another form of corporal punishment, which is physical chastisement, if that is meant to, if we want to interpret it here. There's the beating, the slapping, the biting. Though, if we look at legislation, there is no specific legislation. However, if we look at what are the evidence? So if a child reports or if services are concerned that a child is being disciplined physically, they will look for evidence, and that evidence will be like marks on the child's body. That will be something that will be used as evidence. But besides that, if there's no evidence, it could be the voice of the child. How frequent are they being punished physically? And what is the impact on the child? So it is something that there's no clear cut on that. So I was looking at some statistics, and this is statistics from NSPCC. And it says that 1,451 contacts in 2023 to 2024 to NSPCC mentioned physical chastisement. And that showed an increase of 300% from the previous year. So whatever has been the reason for the increase, I cannot tell. 45% of these referrals from NSPCC will go to children's services, or will go to children's services, some from the police and some from other safeguarding agencies. And for the concerns that were raised, over 50% of the referral from people in the public. So if someone sees that a child is being chastised, because safeguarding responsibility is for everyone, it's not just for specific people. So half of the referrals are from people in the public, and less than 10% are from children themselves and other professionals. So there is no information to show that referrals come from parents. So then parents do the chastisement and they don't report themselves, which obviously they won't report themselves. But looking at the rate of complaints that for myself that I hear, I feel this information around physical chastisement is underrepresented, because there will be some cases in families, in communities, whereby physical chastisement is normalized. Child is not allowed to say it. So I think that is the statistics. I don't know if anyone else from here has something else to add with regards to the history and the statistics. That would be highly appreciated, please.
Can I
Okay.
just come in here? Oh, sorry.
Yes. Yes, Vivian, you can come in.
I was just wondering, is a distinction being made between, on the one hand, parents who chastise their children specifically and understandably with a view to simply correcting them on the one hand, and on the other hand, parents who seemingly do not know where to draw the line. In other words, they go above and beyond simply instructing this child through a bit of slapping or pinching of the jaw and things like that. I'm wondering if there is room to make that distinction. And the reason I say that is because, linking to one of the things you mentioned earlier, I think it was Nelly, that part of the roots also is traced to religion. For example, if I'm not mistaken, the Bible says, don't spare the rod and spoil the child. Now, which means, in my own layman's interpretation, when you discipline a child, it's out of love, not out of hatred or bitterness. Yes, they would have done something that's not right. And you probably feel at that point in time that the best way to teach them is to, maybe a little smack. So are we in a position to make a distinction between chastisement with a view to educating the child, not going overboard, and on the other hand, where some parents, particularly if they are dealing with kids that are not theirs, women in particular, I'm sorry to say this, they beat the other children as if they are not human beings. So, yeah.
Okay.
Does my question make sense?
Yeah, I think Nelly can answer that.
So when you were speaking, I was just looking at my notes, because I always do research and I take down notes. And for the physical chastisement, sometimes parents go overboard, like you said, because parents use it as a form of discipline, but it is not proportionate to what they expect from the child. Because sometimes, let me say, a parent might ask a child to do something, but then it ends there. The child might want to ask why or how, just asking some questions with regards to the task that they've been given. But parents might say the child is being rude, is being disrespectful. And probably at the end of the day, the child will not do the task that was asked of them. And some parents will beat the children pink, blue, every color. When you look at it, that doesn't uh, correct the child, because at the end of the day, the child will be thinking, why have I been beaten? But probably they've been beaten so frequently that they just accepted that whether they do or they don't do, they'll get beaten. So that one, it is just the punishment and not the correction. So when I was doing the research, they made a distinction between correcting a child and punishing a child. And in most cases, because parents, I mean, this chastisement of physical discipline is not just from now, it's way back, many centuries back. And it has been inherited from one generation to the next to our level now. And parents don't know another way of disciplining because they'll say, if I smack a child, the child will react and do what has been asked of them. So because they obey what had been requested of them, parents feel that it is the discipline. I don't know, Vivian, if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Partially, I mean, when we're growing up, I can remember, imagine parents go out to work. Maybe mommy goes to the farm, dad goes to work, and then one of the things you're expected to do when you come back from school is to wash the dishes. For example, you come back from school, take off your uniform, leave your books and all whatnot, and you go to the next wherever play field is, and you're playing football with friends and all whatnot. Mommy comes back from farm, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, whatever time. Dad also comes back from work, and then the whole place is messy. You are coming back home approximately say 6:30. They are already there before you. Mom has come back, had a bath, and is preparing food for everyone, and you are coming back as white as a devil. Coming back 6:30 or something like that. And then you are expected to just be told in some nice, soothing way that, oh, my son, no, you were expected to do this is, what's going to happen now. Your mother is preparing food now. How is it going to be safe? They gave you a total, real messless thrashing. Yes, the real deal. Did we enjoy it then? Absolutely not. But as time went by, we got to appreciate the value of that. To be honest, I think we turned out to be who we were thanks to some of the physical chastisement that we received.
Mm.
It may not be the case with everyone, but some of the environments we grew up in, that probably was the only language that could really be transmitted to us. So personally, again, I feel that it just boils down to, do parents, are they mindful that they should only go this far? Don't go overboard.
Mm.
Let it not be as if you're transferring aggression and your frustration to somebody else. It just be a message to the child that you did this wrong. I don't want you to do it anymore. Rather than frustration that just leads you to treat the child like he or she is not a human being.
Yeah.
Those are my
Okay.
reflections.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right, Evan. That you're absolutely right with
It's
what you
Vivan,
said.
Peggy.
Sorry.
Vivan.
Vivan. Yeah. So yeah, when you were talking, so I just thought just to clarify a few things. Again, we need to discuss in terms of context where we are. The time, all of us, we are the product of some of those beatings and those slaps. We are the product of it. And whether we appreciate it, we appreciate some of those, and like I was saying to Nelly, no parent, I don't think very few parents will vouch that they've raised their children from birth right to adulthood without actually smacking them. You will hardly find those parents. But what we are saying is that what is the proportion? Just like you say, if you want to discipline a child or you smack a child, you have to be proportionate, and the age, you need to consider the age, you need to consider also, the gravity of what they've done, and also ask yourself, have you actually used non-physical technique and it doesn't work before that physical technique is coming in? So these are some of the questions that we need to ask ourselves. And we are also speaking I don't know where you are, where you are. Us being here, we're also speaking, being mindful of the regulation where we are. So we, of course, need to speak to make sure that we are speaking, not kind of encouraging, say, you know what, physical chastisement is acceptable, because what can be acceptable with one child may not be acceptable with another. You can spank, you can hit a child, one child would survive it, but just that same that you use it for another child, that child may not survive it. So again, we are very, very cautious here, and to say, have we answered a question? Yes, you're absolutely right. Parents needs to be actually conscious, intentional, and be careful. If you are disciplining your child, ask yourself, this thing that I'm doing to this child, does it actually, because discipline is not about punishment. Discipline is about, there was a statement that I wrote here. It says, we need to be clear that discipline is not about punishment. Discipline is about teaching, not hurting. When we discipline a child, you're teaching that child that this thing that I'm doing to you, I'm teaching you that next time don't do it again. So this is why you will notice that some of those physical beatings, they did not work. Because for me, I knew that I used to go to school late. They said, don't come to school late. I knew that if I go to school late, what's going to happen? I'm just going to give my hand. They will beat me 5 this way, 5 that way, and I go me to class. So I knew that that was the punishment, and every day I will go late. But was there any other way that if somebody could teach me at that time to help me inculcate that lesson that they're trying to teach me? Why is it that they don't want me to come to school late? Did somebody educate me, take the time to educate me why we don't want you to come to school late? Maybe that would have actually entered me, even I would have learned from that better than just raising a cane to beat me because I've come to school late. If that makes sense, Nelly. If that actually makes sense. So we are dwelling here on teaching, not hurting, and teaching in such a way that that child can learn from it without repeating it, and without you, the parents, actually reminding them about that thing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you so much, Peggy, for that. I think just some of the things that Vivian talked about. So, by the way, Peggy, Vivian is my neighbor. Not, I mean,
Oh, okay,
he's around,
okay.
so yeah, so he knows what we're talking about because
Yeah,
he's in the UK as well.
okay.
So, we were talking about physical chastisement.
Yes,
And one thing that I really appreciate everything that Vivian has said is
yeah,
he has talked of parents to be mindful, because
yes,
if parents are mindful,
yeah,
they will want to help how to understand rather than punishing the child, which
yes,
that is where the massive difference comes in.
yeah,
Because like the example Vivian was talking about, that parents come back from work, farm, and the child is not there. So the parent is there with their frustration
mm-hmm,
because they, from their own parenting, they know the only way to let the child know that they've done something wrong is to smack the child.
mm-hmm,
But then over time, the child just becomes used to that. Anyway, I'll go, and if I come back, I'll be beaten. And after a few minutes, it will finish. But then the reason for this massive shift is from research,
mm-hmm,
because research has shown that when children are being chastised, they don't learn. They
yeah,
just adapt because they know that there's nothing that because parents don't really teach the children.
mm-hmm,
So that is where the research comes in. And now this move to alternative forms of discipline and not just physical chastisement, because there are lots and lots of research showing that physical chastisement do not make a child to be obedient in the long run. The child will be obedient, but then after some time, they become used to. So then they don't develop the behaviors that parents want them to develop, because first of all, communication. Peggy and myself, we run this show and we always talk about communication, because communication is a big problem within the Afro-Caribbean community, because parents, I don't know if it's a lack of patience or I don't know. Because when it comes to communication, parents just tell the child, do this, and it's a full stop. But then the child, because they are so curious, they want to know more. Why? But then when they want to start asking questions, parent will say the child is being oppositional, the child is being disrespectful because the child is not as obedient as the parent expect of them. And just linking to what Vivian said, it's not that when a child does wrong, you hold the child and talk to the child softly. No. When you are being mindful, let the child know that what they have done is not right. Let there be consequences. Let there be consequences. So I think when we get into the alternatives to physical chastisement, we will talk about that. So I don't know if anyone else has anything more to add or to highlight.
Anyone has anything to say? And yeah, and please, maybe when we're talking, if there's a question, if you've got a question that maybe at that time I know sometimes when we're talking you want some to say something, just jot it down as a question, and then we can always raise your hand up, and then after that you speak. If there's anybody who wants to say anything, then please feel free before we move to the next point.
I was going to say, sometimes I know, like the history where we come from. Maybe we said this before. It's just the frustration that parents have. For example, if you ask a child to do something, and you explain it to them, they don't do it. The next time you say it again, they don't do it. The third time you will take that frustration on that child and smack them or do something. So, but the society in where we live is not, we grow up like children should be seen, not heard. So where we are now, when a child asks you a question, we said, go and do this, and asking you, why are you sending me to do this? Why can't you do it? You'll be like, what? Are you for real? How can I be sending you to do something and you are asking me questions why am I not doing it? There's a reason why I'm asking you to do it, because you explain that, but some of them don't. So I think that's one of the contributing factors of that chastisement that you mentioned, with the physical smacking or pinching of the jaw, ear, dragging your ear. Yeah, so I just wanted to add that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah. Mercy, I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not on camera as I'm at the park with my toddler.
Enjoy the sunshine.
That's why I put the video of. Okay. So I wanted to add to the communication bit. It's very, very important for us to have communication, especially when the child knows that if you don't do this, this is going to be the consequence.
Yeah.
They have to know it in advance. I always say to parents that from where we came from, or from where I grew up, it was go and get me this. You just stand up and go and get it.
Yeah.
You won't ask any questions. But the children that we are raising now, this generation, we need to have conversations with them. Otherwise, they don't even understand why you are saying, don't go to the park straight after school. So, especially with my boys, if you do something, the consequence will be we are not going for football if you do not do your homework. And they love football. That is the only thing you will take from them, and it can really hurt them so that they don't do it. So it is very important that we sit around the table, have a communication. Okay, I am telling you not to do this because of A, B, and C, so that they understand. So when it happens, they know that my mom is punishing me because of that. Or my mom is not taking me to football because I did this or that.
Yeah.
So communication is always the key, and it's very important. And I think when Peggy started, she mentioned something about sometimes the punishments are not proportionate.
Yeah.
I mean, a child can do something small, and then the mom can take the phone, or dad will take the phone for a week. Sometimes it's not proportionate. So we have to be careful some of the things that we do. But as I said, it's all up to communication. We need to have that, that approach to parenting, and it will help. And as we are aware, in this country, sorry, I'm being distracted a lot.
Okay.
My child is calling me at a point, sorry. Yeah, so here we are aware that physical attachment is a big no. It's a big no. I received it when I was young. Sometimes I say that it really helped me to put it, might have helped a little bit, but it wasn't too much, you know. I can count the number of times I received it. And I do, I mean, if you look at what I did for my dad to do that, but here we don't do it. However, we need to break the cycle because if you look at statistics, people who do it to their children too will do it to their children. So if we do it to our children, we know the consequences. Maybe we would not be caught. But if they do it in their generation, it's going to be a big thing. So we need to break that cycle and find other suitable ways of disciplining them or letting them know of the consequences. And sometimes they should be our friends.
Yeah.
You can go to their rooms. Most parents don't even go to their children's rooms. We can go to their rooms. I've got on bed. When he's playing a game, I would just be there. So I'm not only going there when he's in trouble, but I go there so that whatever he wants to tell me, he can let me know. Whatever is happening, I have a policy that whatever happens in school, you have to tell me first before your teacher does. So we need to have that sort of relationship. I think I'm talking too much, so I'm going off video, but please, I'm listening.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mercy. The emphasis on communication is just what we do all the time because we know that there's a massive gap in communication. And thank you for that contribution. So from all what we have been talking about, I have been taking note of certain things that we have talked about, being mindful and the expectations that we have, and those expectations, our parents had those expectations of us and we were obedient. And it's the same kind of expectations that we have for our children, but it's not working. And sometimes parents punish children, which is not being proportionate, like Peggy said, and Mercy, because parents struggle to regulate themselves. Because going back to the example that Vivian gave, a mom comes back from the farm, she's tired and she has her bath. When you, the child, you are still out and about. And then when you come, mom will take her frustration on you, which is now punishment because it is not correcting you. But again, we have talked about this. I think instead of going over and over, we can swiftly move to the alternatives. So if we know that.
I think before we move to the alternative, Nelly, sorry to cut you there. We need to first of all emphasize on why we need to move to the alternative. Why the alternative is important. Because we've talked about, yes, discipline. We need to discipline our children. The Bible says it, whether you believe in person or not, it says it. Because if we don't discipline the children, then we are raising children for disaster. It is that fact is there. So we need to talk about why do we need to look at the alternative instead of physical. So there's some few points that I had here. I said it can create fear instead of respect. So each time you raise your hand to beat that child or smack that child or pinch that child and all of that, I don't know about the proportion, talking about proportion. whether we like it or not, we are creating fear in that child instead. That gap, that bond between your child starts to break. Because rather than that child seeing you as a mom or dad who is loving, depending again on the proportion, just like Vivian said, I don't know, depending on the proportion, if I'm to slide in that statement, that barrier between you and your child starts to chip away. That child starts to get scared to even talk to you. That child gets scared to even express themselves because he or she doesn't know what is going to come off. And just like Nelly said, sometimes we do it because we cannot regulate our emotion. For a tiny thing that a child does, maybe we carry all our frustration and bang it on that child. That is going to create fear instead of respect. The second point is it may damage trust and communication, and we've talked about it before. That is when your child don't trust you as a parent anymore because they feel like, you know what, whatever thing they do, you smack, or whatever thing you scream and all of that. It breaks down that communication. And this is where our children are being pushed on the street. This is where peer pressure starts to take them, because when they start to communicate with their friends outside and their friends seems to listen to them, they're going to go to their friends rather than come to you. Why? Because that chastisement has actually broken that communication bond between you and your child. The third one is that your children may copy aggressive behavior, just like our sister has said, that when we start to do this thing to our children, mind you or not, the Bible even talks about planting seeds. Yes, the Bible said don't spare the child and spoil the rod and all of that. But we should also remember that we are also planting seeds. And this is where the proportionality against come into. If we are being aggressive and beating them mercilessly, as our brother said, and all of that, we are planting some aggressive seeds in these children, which they are going to also that seed is going to continue on their own children and their own great-grandchildren. So like our sister Mercy said, is how we need to break the barrier, break that cycle now. And there are other safer ways that we can break that barrier now, and which is what we're going to be talking about today. And last but not the least, it doesn't teach problem-solving skill. Punishing or beating does not teach that child problem-solving skill. And again, we talk about that communication. We just beat the child without actually explaining why are we doing that. Because if we don't explain it, and maybe our parents used to do that because they did not even have the chance to well, some of them would have explained. But if we explain to the child that I'm punishing you because of A, B, C, D, it will ring, it will record in that child's head. And so that child, that is something that was planted in them. They'll know that, okay, the last time I was punished is because I did A, B, C, D. That means I don't need to do it again so that I don't get punished. But if we just come and punish that child without even explaining it to that child, or we might say, oh, I explained it to you the other day. Remind you, we are in a generation where children, their brain, I don't know what is wrong with it. They don't remember. Maybe you would have explained it even yesterday or even last night. Today, they'll tell you that I can't remember. So it is our duty to still explain it to them again, why they are being punished. So yeah, I don't know whether Nelly we can add something there before that we can now go into the alternative forms, please.
Yeah, so one of the consequences that I have seen, specifically being a life coach, is one of the common things is people have said they feel that their parents do not understand them. And like physical chastisement has its own contribution, because parents, again, I go back to the expectations. Parents have expectations of children that they do this or that. So because of that, I know Peggy talked about the strained relationships. Children, they are at home with their parents, but parents feel that they know their child or their children because they provide them with shelter, they provide them with food and comfort. But in actual fact, they don't know their children because the children behave the way their parents want them to behave to give them that front. But then when the parents are not there, the children very differently. Whereas if we make the children, like provide a safe space for the children, I mean, the children are not our friends, and vice versa, but we are the parents. We approach our children in a friendly way to make them feel comfortable to talk to us, because if children don't feel safe to express themselves with their parents, there are always ears outside that are waiting for our children. And I know Vivan knows a lot about what goes on there because he has done a lot of work in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So it is to be mindful
Mm-hmm.
and know our children. And how do we know our children? First, physical chastisement plays its own part. And sometimes physical chastisement doesn't just come on its own, because sometimes parents, as they're beating the child, words are also coming out from their mouths. And those words, they give the child that self, that inner voice, which is very destructive as well. So for me, it is parents, we need to start learning how to regulate our own emotions, because self-regulation is very important. Because if a child does something that is wrong, Vivian talk about being mindful. Take a step back and just question yourself. Why did this child do this? Because parents will say the child did that to hurt me, which probably the child behaved the way they did because they didn't know what else to do, or because they didn't understand. So it's to take that step back. That's just what I wanted to add, Peggy.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else has anything to add.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we can go to the effective alternative to discipline, to physical discipline, where we can talk about. And to be honest with you, when I was reading about the list of the non-physical alternative, me myself as a parent, I was shocked, to know that there are alternatives. Because trust me, I tell you, there are days that I lost. It's not, you can't but do. But then again, it's about coming to a point where, and this is where we talk about asking question, why? Why? If we've noticed that our children, they like to ask a lot of question, why? Parents, we need to also learn to ask that question, why? Why did you do this? Why have you done that? Why are you doing this thing? I told you the other time, and you still, why have you? So it's about asking why, so that we can, in that way, actually understand what is going in their mind, so that we know, again, like our brother said, that is going to come to the proportionally. Maybe rather than spanking that child with your both hands, if they tell you why they did that thing, maybe you just use by one hand, because that why has actually justified and given a reason, So it's very important. We need to start asking them why, because they've got their own reason. They've got their reason why they're doing things. And some of the reasons are stupid. There are some days that I'll ask my 15-year-old, what, like now, he left school, he finished school since 3:30. It's just now that he's coming back home, right? If it was in those days, I would have been by the door now, waiting with my slippers, and he comes, and then I'll start to, But I won't do that, because he told me why he had to come home late, So, and the reason, because I asked him why. When I was calling him, where are you? He explained to me, and then he apologized. Sorry, I did not tell you, but I am coming late because of ABC. At least that calmed me down. Because if I did not hear that why, in fact, maybe I'll be thinking of something else. Not the physical though, because I've learned the hard way. So so it is very important that we learn to ask why. Why? So the first alternative to physical discipline on my list is positive reinforcement. Just like adults, we like to do psychologists, while Nelly might add on this, psychologically, we like to be praised, whether we like it or not. I know sometimes as adults, you say, oh, nice, I just did it. But we like to hear when people praise us doing something. So positive reinforcement is about when that child do something right, praise that child. Praise them, for that thing that they've done, and they will likely want to do it again. Why? Because they also want you to they want to hear that praising. you know. So that's another form of helping them, because remember, here we're talking about discipline, but we're talking about a behavior that will stick, not a punishment. So if like our brother said, if dishwashing was something that I want them to come back from school and wash that dishes and all of that, when they wash that dishes the first time, what did you do? Did you just say, oh no, but that's your duty, that's your job to do it? No, we praise them, we appreciate them. And then the next time they come, in their brain, they know that, oh, if I wash the dishes, I will still be praised. And gradually it becomes a habit, and they will do it
Okay.
without
Okay,
needing
let me just interrupt there. See, Peggy has talked about washing dishes. Peggy says this all the time.
all the time.
All the time. She talks about washing dishes because this is an issue that she is dealing with. Talking about dishes in the sink all the time. Peggy, please, let this be the last time. Don't be repeating the
No,
dishes in
I will
the
keep
sink.
talking until the day they grow and I'm gone. I will not stop. I've told them that whether until the day they pack their bag and leave the house, I'll keep talking.
It's same here, same in my house. Dishes.
Yeah, we talk about it. I mean, either we laugh or we cry. So let's choose
Yeah,
to laugh.
you have to say it
Yeah, I
every
think for the
day.
second point, we talk about emotional regulation. As
Mhm.
parents, let's start to identify the things that trigger us to get really angry. And I know, like in our community, we don't talk about emotions, we don't talk about our feelings, but those are natural. We experience them, and we don't even have the vocabulary because I know the only things I knew about feelings and emotions were either you are happy or you are sad. But when I came to this country and I was really curious to know a lot about mental health, emotional well-being, that was when I discovered that there are so many vocabularies that you can use to express whether your emotions or your feelings. But again, I'm still learning. It's a work in progress. But a lot of parents do not know. So it's to take a step back and learn. It's okay for us to learn because when we are learning, we are growing.
Mhm.
And it's not just us, our children are growing. Like if we are, say, we have been smacking our children, and from today, we know that it is not acceptable because you can get into trouble. Your children can eventually be removed because of chastisement and other things, and then you will lose your children. So it's just to show how important that is taken here because of the impact on the child. So it's for parents to start learning about themselves, about the things that learn to just take a step back and just breathe. Because when you breathe,
Mhm.
that anger or that frustration, it reduces. Like Peggy said, instead of using both hands, you might use one hand. So it's just that breather. And all that is a way to help you to learn to regulate your own emotions.
Yeah, and then the third point is, instead of time in or instead of a time out, you do a time in. We've heard the word so many times, time out, time out. Yes, that is a strategy of when kids are young, you know, you do time out, go sit on the stairs. You're gonna sit on the stairs for so and so minute and all of that, which great, it works. But when it comes to certain time, depending on the ages of our children, rather than give them that time out, give time in. And time in means sit with them. Create a conducive environment where sit with them, talk with them, ask them, why is it? This is why that why now comes in, where you can have that conversation of why. Why are you doing this? Why are you behaving this way? Why is it that I keep repeating? Why is it? Have a conversation with that child so that by the time you finish that conversation, that child will actually understand deeper. Why? And then this is where, like our brother Vivan said, that this is where the child will see that what you're doing for that child is from the standpoint of love. It's not from the standpoint of hatred. Because if we don't have that conversation, that child is going to feel like, no, my mom hates me, my dad hates me. That is why dad is doing, or that's why they're doing that thing to me. But when you have that time in, when you're having that conversation with that child will understand that, hang on, they're doing this because of love. So, and it's very important to have that conversation, have that time in to have that conversation.
Yeah, I think just linking that point that you've made to something that Mercy mentioned is that having that conversation with our children, and in having that, when you have that conversation and you ask them why, that's when you can ask them to tell you, okay, if you don't do this, what would be the consequence? So they are telling you the consequence. So if it happens that they do what they are not meant to do, and you remind them, okay, you said if you do or don't do this, this is the consequence. What do you think about that? So at that time, there's little negotiation because it's already there. The child is the one who came up with that consequence. Now, if they don't do what they're meant to do, the parent just simply reminds them that consequence because you said and you've not done or you've done this particular thing. So the child will know that the parent, yes, is showing that love. The parent want them to do the right thing, and the parent will not feel the need for that chastisement because it's just that communication.
Yeah.
And then one other thing is boundaries. Parents need to put routines and boundaries because some days parents can say, do A. The next day they say, no, don't do A, do B. So because they tell the child to do different things on different days and in different ways, the child gets confused. But then if parents put boundaries, and the boundaries need to be age appropriate, put boundaries, and those boundaries need to be consistent to maintain those boundaries. So then the child knows that, okay, when they wake up in the morning, they brush, they bathe or they shower and all whatnot. But if you say, okay, one morning when you wake up, have breakfast, then you brush, then you get dressed, and then the next morning you say, when you wake up, get dressed, get washed, the child gets confused. So it's for parents to learn to put routines and boundaries and to maintain them. Let those consistent, because when parents are doing that, they are helping the child to be able to self-regulate. And in a way, parents will be modeling to their children, because the parent not just expect the children to be doing what they've been told, the parents need to also be doing what they want the children to do, because children will easily learn by observing what the parents are doing and not necessarily doing what the parent is telling them to do.
Yeah. I don't know, Nelly, your mic keep going off. I know it blasts and then it goes, it blasts and it goes. So I don't know, your mic, I think that's your mic.
Oh.
Another point to talk about is we talk again about assertiveness. And this is where I always talk about assertiveness. You can only be assertive if you, to your child, if you yourself, you are an assertive person. So we need to learn as parents to be assertive. What is it? Can we communicate assertively without actually allowing our emotion to mess up? Can we be calm? Can we communicate directly, where we look a child in the eye and talk with some assertiveness, where that child can see some seriousness? Because again, like I said, every parent have their technique. There are some children. There was one time I was having a conversation with a lady, and my son did something. When I turn and look at my son, he knew that something was wrong. And then the lady asked me, why did you look at him like that? I said, that's a family matter. Sometimes it's about when we know how different ways that we communicate with our children, whether in public or wherever. These are little things that, just like Nelly said, these are little things that sometimes you have it with your child. There are certain signs that you have it with your child at home, that if your child knows that if mommy does this, if mommy looks this way, if mommy you know that mommy is not happy, there is something not right. And this is where we have to actually let our children understand that it is not all the time that I'm going to scream. It's not all the time that I'm going to shout. But there are days that if you come in and see me in a certain way, you know that something is not right. And you start asking yourself, what is it that I haven't done right? Right? There are days that my son will run. If they come and then they see me, I have this my look. My son always tell me that, mom, just straighten your front head. I will wrap it like my forehead will wrap and wrap and wrap. And then when he comes, especially my eldest, the 23 years old, when he walks in and then he sees that line, so oh, somebody's not happy. So, but then he knows when he goes in the kitchen, if it is the sink that is full, he just starts to do it straight away. I haven't said anything. I haven't screamed, but my facial expression have said it all. Again, we need to regulate it so that we don't make it a habit, because there are days that honestly is not necessary. That face, screaming that face is not necessary. We need to make it in such a way that there are days that they will come in, you're joyful, you're bubbly, you're happy, so that we don't make the environment so gloomy where they can know that, oh, I live in an environment where mom was always on edge or dad was always on edge. No, we need to make the environment conducive. Yes, if it is time to discipline, we discipline. And let's us as parents, I'm saying this because Nelly, I've had a lot of conversation with parents in the community, especially single parents. They've lost their confidence in parenting. They don't even know whether they are the one parenting or the children are the one parenting them or controlling them. And this is the why I always say to them that if you don't put yourself together as a parent and know your power, know where you belong, know what you supposed to do as a parent, how are you going to be able to parent that child? How are you going to be able to speak assertively, confidently to that child, where the child will respect and actually take your orders? This is where when you tell a child something, they do the order because they don't even value what you're saying, and because you've reduced yourself so low where they don't even respect you again. So I always say to my dear parents, come back up. You are the parent, they are the children. Set that difference. There have to be that differentiation. It doesn't matter the country. I know some people will say, oh yeah, but we're here, the government has taken the law from our hands and all of that, they're giving it to children and all of that. No, they haven't. You maybe have given it because you have to set it at home, you know. So that is where I was saying is that have that conversation, be assertive as a parent. When your child, when you say something, let your child see it from your face or from your physical expression that you're not happy, and they can toe the line. So that is one point there. I don't know, Anneli, if you got.
You know, just to add to them, you know, we are talking a lot about communication, but sometimes you see where a child is saying something, the mother or the parent is saying something. So it's like a tit for tat with the parent. When you notice that, you just realize that the parent has lost it. So when, as a parent, you find yourself in that situation, take a step back. Initially, it will feel very uncomfortable because you have that urge that just give it to them, just give it to them. But no, take a step back, do some breathing exercise just to calm yourself down. Or you might walk away. And sometimes it has got to the level where even if the parent wants to walk away, the child will follow the parent because that had been a pattern that has been going on in that home. But if a parent wants to make positive changes, they need to be consistent. Don't have a tit for tat with your children because you are already losing it, because children will talk and talk and they'll keep coming up with things, and then parents will completely lost their control. So it's to take a step back. I think we are now talking about how to be calm, isn't it? Encouraging calm,
Encouraging
consistent
calm,
parenting.
consistent parenting. And just before we go on that, one thing again is just talking about, we know we're in a technological world. We cannot forget that our children are glued to technology. They love their remote control. My son loves his remote control. So again, I've noticed that sometimes if I want to discipline him, I just take the remote control. I take it away from him. And that will really pain him. And in fact, I've noticed that I've been observing the number of times if I take his remote control of him, he will do that thing that I want to do very quick, because he knows that he's got games to play with his friend and he doesn't want to miss it. So again, those are some of the techniques that if you feel that what is it that your child is attached to and they love it, just like our brother said, he loved his football. He used to go play football, and boys, you cannot beat, they love their football. You know, if you say, you know what, if you're not going to play that football, if you don't do this, you're not going to play that football. Mind you, he's going to do it because he doesn't want to miss that football. So that's another alternative that we can, another approach that we can take.
Yeah, and just to add to that, like my own personal experience with that is I used to take my son's gadget and like the remote control. Sometimes I'll take it if I'm going away for the weekend when he doesn't want to go with me. I just take the remote with him. And then sometimes when I tell him to do something and he doesn't do it, I just come and switch off the Wi-Fi. And sometimes he's in the middle of a game with his friends. And many times he has come to me and said, Mom, please, can you not put off the internet? And I'm like, you know, I put off the internet because I must have repeated that same thing to you many times and you've not done it. I say, okay, I don't do it because I like it. I do it because you have pushed me. You are not doing what you are meant to do. I say, okay, what is the resolution for this? Tell me, how do we resolve this? Because I don't want to be putting off the internet. You don't want me to be putting it off. How do we resolve this? And then he will come up with his own suggestions that he wants, whatever. And then I'll be like, okay, there will be a consequence if you don't stick to that. So it's like a little plan that we have together. And I think over time, that is really, really improving because when he defaults again, I remind him, I said, remember, we said if you don't do this, this is a consequence. And I think bit by bit, he is getting better. He is getting better. So I think it's just for us to, first of all, as parents, identify the things that really trigger us and then work on ourselves, on how we stay calm. It's not that we are dismissing that there will be no consequences. It's just that we want to stay calm so we are in control, focusing on that particular behavior and not our own issues that are going on. Probably we have bills that are coming up and we are thinking, oh my days, what will happen if? So put that aside and just stay focused on the behavior that the child is presenting.
And then another thing I just want to drop there, Nelly, and I've seen a lot of parents, especially with teenage children, where they say they'll always tell them that because you did not do so and so and so, I'm not going to give you your pocket money for so and so and so. Now, there's a caveat there. We need to be careful as that, because if you withdraw or if you stop that child's pocket money, right, you don't give them pocket money, and that child goes to school, or maybe they go out with their friends and then their friends are buying and they don't have pocket money, what do you think that child may do, or what do you think may happen? So again, this I always say that we've got to be careful with some of these things. It might be a discipline that maybe our parents gave us, but we're fine with it because again, maybe we do not have, we were not in this environment that, you know, where there are wolves everywhere. In fact, there are wolves everywhere looking for the slightest opportunity to capture your child. So we need to be very careful so that there are certain things that we shouldn't do. Give them their money, you know, put money in their account so that it should not be an excuse that, you know, they've gone out there, maybe they went and did this or they took this because they did not have money. So again, that's some things that we need to pick up from there.
Okay, I just want to put that out there. Any contributions, any alternatives to physical chastisement from anyone else?
We haven't heard from Kate. Is Kate, have we got Kate? And we've got Portia. Oh, Portia was here.
Yeah. Hello. I'm
Hi.
listening.
Hello.
Hi, I'm here. Thank you. We're listening, and trust me, you people, Junior, I'm listening with the call. You can
Junior.
hear. I asked him, I say, this is supposed to be for adults, but I want you to hear that I'm not the only one. And fortunately, all what you are saying is actually what has recently, we've just had moments that all what you've been saying is like, I read the book and it happened. So thank you all. And we are grateful that sometimes you feel maybe you are doing it wrong, or maybe your case is different. But when you hear from other moms or other parents, then at least the energy is like you top up your energy to say, you know what, you just carry the flame.
Yeah.
So thank you all.
Thank you
It's
so
very,
much,
very
Kate.
impactful. Very impactful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You know, parenting is something that doesn't come with a manual. Probably if parenting came with a manual, we would be doing things differently. But you just learn as you go along. And like Kate said, you are not on your own. When you connect with other parents, you realize that, oh, other parents are going through the same experience that you are going through.
Yeah. Yeah. And the key,
Yeah, what I've experienced is like the
yeah.
kids, like my kids, they are like they feel they are grown ups now, 18 and 16. They just feel they are adults. And then when I tell them to do certain things, they'll not do it. I'll repeat it. They are not doing it, and I'll just come. I'm not saying anything anymore. Once they see me doing it, they dive on it. They don't want me to do it. They'll just dive on it and start doing it and start pushing me aside to do it. That is just the action. I will not say anything anymore. I'll just go now straight to start doing it and just them pushing me aside. Especially the 16-year-old will just push me aside and start doing it seriously. They will not want me to like repeat that thing again. I wanted to do it. I said, but I saw you were just lying down on your phone. And I've said it the day before yesterday. I said it again yesterday. You didn't. And then today I said, let me do it myself. And then now you've just come and you're pushing me aside that leave it, let me do it. So sometimes action speaks
Yeah.
better than you talking too much.
And that just tells me, Portia, that sometimes they don't do it because they don't want to do it.
Yes,
Sometimes these children, they're intentional, sometimes they do it watching just to see your reaction.
your
Just to
reaction,
see, yeah,
exactly.
just to push you. And this is why I always tell parents that hang on, at the end of the day, we parents, we are also human beings. We've got blood flowing in our own veins. You've got stress, you've got high blood, you've got this, you've got that. At the end of the day, you've got to also look after yourself. There was a day that I said to myself that I can't keep myself because I'm born picking them. I said the day that you just come back. Before, I used to get so annoyed when I come. I would just like be flaming and just be angry, just be and I said to myself, when I went to my GP, they say your blood pressure is good. I said, "Hey, not me, oh." I said, as I'm coming back, whether you do it, if I tell you that do it, if you do it, fine and good. If you don't do it, one thing that my strategy that I've used now is that I don't like seeing my sink full, but what has helped me now is that immediately I'm coming back from home, I've already prepared my mind that if I come back and meet the sink full, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna scream. Right. Someday, if I am coming, if they see me coming, maybe I meet them in the kitchen. If they hear me open the door, they'll start to wash it. But maybe if they're not downstairs and then I come there first, if I see it, I will do it. Because these are ways that I've told them several times that look, and this is where we tell our children that we are not doing this thing. We've done our bit. If I do it, I don't do it. My parents already taught me how to do it. I'm teaching you so that you teach your own children. So, but like I always say, as long as they're under my roof, I will keep talking. If I can do it, I'll do it. But I'm talking this time and regulating my emotion. Nelly has told me I'm regulating my emotions. I'm not going all over the place. Regulate it because what I also love myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Can
Yeah, I
I
think
say
Priska has
something?
Okay.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Priska wants to say something. Yeah.
It's just to add to what Peggy and Nelly have just explained. For me, my experience, when you talk and talk and talk, and you don't have that conversation, it doesn't go through.
Yeah.
So sometimes I use the strategy of doing like reverse psychology and make them understand that the reason you're doing this is this and this and this.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing it, let's say, okay, I'm the one not doing it, and you talk and talk and talk.
Yeah.
nothing happens. How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they'll
Yeah.
be telling you, oh, it's not nice. And like I said, okay, if you know it's not nice, so why do you do it? Why do you think I'll just take it out? I'll just accept what you're doing. So that makes them think that,
Yes.
okay, there's a reason why you're asking them to do certain things. And
Yeah.
you say it is for your own good, like you said, Peggy. When you grow up, you move out, you go to your own house. These things were just giving you life skills. So you will end up doing them. So it's practice. If you don't learn now, you will not be able to do it because you meet children in this place where we are. Some of them don't even know how to boil an egg
Yeah.
because they don't lay a finger. A mom will cook and call the child upstairs or say, go and say, oh, food is ready.
Yeah.
Why don't you take them and be with them in the kitchen and be teaching them those skills and explaining that, oh, this is what you'll be learning tomorrow, or you'll be doing that for your own self. And
Yeah.
one day, if you're blessed, you have a family, and that's you will be passing on those skills to your own children. So
Absolutely.
it's good about letting them understand why you're asking them to do certain things. That way it will help to educate them. But as well, sometimes that sparking is necessary.
Thank you,
At a young
Priska.
age, not
Yeah,
not when they are grown up. At a young age, it helps them like, okay.
thank you for that. And you know what you've said, and I think majority of what we've said is we've still gone back to that communication to show how important communication is. Sometimes we need to be a bit more patient because we might have to repeat ourselves a few more times in many different ways so that the child can understand. Because sometimes we might be rushing, and the particular thing that might make the child to understand, we might miss it the first time, the second time, and even the 10th time. So that patience will really help us. And again, if we explain in different ways, eventually, hopefully, the child will understand and then do it. But sometimes, again, let's be mindful of the expectations because a lot of the times, the expectations that we have on our children are the expectations that our parents put on us. So we need to be mindful to separate those two because we are in two different worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think, yeah, that brings us to the end. I think except anybody has something to say, but I think I've learned, like I always say, when Nelly and I have these sessions, we bounce off each other. I learn from her, we learn from each other because we are a work in progress. Like I always say, parenting never stops. You keep learning because there are challenges that keep cropping up every day, new challenges where you want to feel like, you know what, I've mastered this one, another one comes up. So we have to keep learning, keep learning. But at the end of the day, we want to raise up responsible children who can go out there in the society and be able to thrive without us being scared, and that is the difference as a community or as parents. Because I wouldn't be proud if my son moved. My son, in fact, he's moving out on Monday, which again, I don't know how I'm feeling. I'm got mixed feeling. 1 minute I was saying that I want you to go, I want you to go. Now he says, now I'm going. I don't want him to go. I'm grabbing him. Don't go, don't go. So again, these are some of the things that we have these feelings. But at the end of the day, I'm asking myself, but what kind of man have I raised him up? Have I raised him into a confident, responsible man that he's going out there and I'm confident that he can live on his own? That is a question that we need to be asking ourselves. And that is what we need to have at the back of our mind and keep telling our children as young as they are that, you know what, I'm raising you, setting these things so that when you grow and gone tomorrow, you can be able to take care of your own self. We are doing it from the standpoint of love. And another thing, I don't know whether we are religious or not, but I think sometimes we need to also go back to biblical principles because it's very, very important. Sometimes these biblical principles, they play a role. Some people may agree with it, some people may not agree with it, but whichever tactic or whichever approach that we use, so long as it's helpful for them and for us, we're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think for me is let's be mindful if we have the mindset that we want to bring up obedient children,
Mm.
those children will be obedient to the parents, but then they'll have a massive gap where they will really struggle because they will not develop some of the necessary skills. And sometimes, to an extent, parents will feel that they know their child, but the child feels empty, that they don't connect emotionally with anyone within their family. So it's for parents. Again, I go back to what Vivian said about mindful. We parents need to be mindful.
Yeah.
Let's teach our children the necessary skills, because they'll get to a point where they will live their lives on their own. We will not be there. And looking at some of the lifestyles that parents, especially like mothers, they will want to be dictating a child when they have gone out and in their own homes what to do, what not to do. That is helpful, because like Peggy now is in a dilemma. Good luck, Peggy. When he is gone, you have done your part. Yes, your doors are open in the sense that if he struggles with anything, you are just a phone call away. He can ring you or he can come over, but it doesn't mean that as he's gone, he's just gone. So again, it's you doing what you can do. And if he feels that he is ready to be on his own, give him the chance. Sometimes some of our children have gone out there and they realize that, oh, if I knew, I could have listened to mom and dad, or mom or dad, but they've gone out there and they have struggled. It doesn't mean that the parents did not prepare them. The parents taught them the basic, the lessons or the skills for them to survive in the jungle, but for one reason or the other, things have not worked out. It doesn't mean that the children or the parents have been a failure. It isn't. Like you have talked about, Peggy, we are all learning, and it's something that is continuous. We'll keep on learning. If someone drops a manual on parenting, especially the day the child we hear that first cry, I think all of us, it'll be great, but no one, I've not heard that any child has come with a manual. So parents are just trying many different things. So are we here on this call and other parents. So let's do our best. Let's know that that communication is more helpful as an alternative to physical chastisement, to help create that bonding, the good relationship between parents and children, where children can be open to talk things about themselves or ask questions, because they're very inquisitive, to parents. And for parents, not to tell the big fat lies that we were told when we were younger. Just be honest, but again, give children age appropriate information, because sometimes parents might want to be honest, but it's not age appropriate, which might be like a form of abuse, because they give this big kind of information to the child who does not even know what to do with the information because they don't understand. So yeah, I think for myself, I just want to say thank you all so much. I think I've learned from all of you who have spoken, because Peggy and myself, we say we are on this journey, not that we know, we don't. The little experience that we have gone through, we like to share. Sometimes it's just Peggy and myself, and we bounce ideas off each other. And sometimes we get to a point where we get stuck and we stop and think that, but oh. So today on this call, we've had different ideas from all of you. So I just want to say thank you so much. And like on these sessions, Peggy and myself run these sessions every fortnightly, and we come up with different topics. So we always make a request that if any parent or anyone has a particular topic that they would like us to research and talk about. Because before we come on these sessions, we do some research to find out what is out there and not just sharing our experiences. We can look into that, and yeah, we will appreciate and welcome you with your opinion. So that's for me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I just want
I
to
think
say one
Peggy,
thing
Peggy, I think
to
Vivian wants to
Vivan.
say
Yeah.
something.
I also wanted to say something to him as well, but let him speak.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry. I mean, at the risk of kind of talking too much,
oh,
No.
I've really enjoyed the discussion really, really much. I just wanted to say this. You guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I am of the view that um, us who have come here from Cameroon, from Africa, you know, who are from out of here,
Yeah.
the experience that I've had is that our children, okay, I don't know you, Peggy, but my sister Portia and Nelly, I know them. We are so close and we know each other's children really, really
Yeah.
well. And many other African children that we know and are used to. The experience I've had is that they are, generally speaking, well mannered,
Yeah.
well brought up,
Yeah.
in comparison to many of their peers and classmates.
Yes.
I am telling you,
Yes.
they stand apart in many, many ways.
Yeah.
And I've reflected about this for quite a while. I've figured out that one of the explanations, maybe not that there are many, but one of the insignificant explanations has to do with the frequent emphasis that us who have come from outside we place when having conversations with our children. For example, my son, my daughter, there are opportunities here that we never even dreamt of.
Yes.
And it would be a shame if we do not do what it takes so as to maximize those opportunities for you to extract the most out of this community, out of this environment. When I was growing up, for example, I went to school barefooted. I would trek in the morning for miles to fetch water before going to school. Every weekend, I'll go to the farm. Every holidays, I'll need to sell things. I'll need to do this, that, and the other, maybe to raise money for school fees and books and things like that. You do not have to do those things. If you listen to us properly, you can be anything.
Yeah.
So I think those categories of information that we have, they are playing a role in reinforcing our guidance and directions to our children.
Yeah.
And I think their classmates and peers here, they do not have that. They don't. When we tell our children, for instance, that after eating, you need to clear the table, go to the kitchen, clear the dishes, you get up in the morning, clean your room, look your wardrobe, is it organized? Clean the house, do this, do that. These are skills that are going to be important to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Most of their classmates and peers, they do not get that.
No.
They don't. That's why trust me, if you compare most of their classmates and age groups, you will see that there is a difference like night and day between us, our children that we've whose parents have come from afar, than those here. Those here, they take things so much for granted, but we need to emphasize into the heads of our children that please, you need to work twice as hard as your classmates in order to succeed at the same level.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
it's something that I've picked up. So I know that our love for them is at the forefront of what we do. But as you guys have said, it doesn't mean that the love necessarily has to be accompanied by physical chastisement. Once in a while, though, as long as we know that there is a boundary not to cross, then it becomes okay. Thank you, guys. Sorry for talking too much.
No, thank you.
No, thank you so
No,
much.
thank
It's
you.
so valued.
And
It's so
one
valued.
and the thing is that again, like we keep talking about it, that physical chastisement is okay, so long as there's boundaries. This is something that it also is about parents and children, that culture at home. Because have we taught them that thing that happened at home stays at home? Because again, it's not that you will not we've seen situation where it is the child that has gone to school and reported that parents did this. But I'll say, for example, I don't know if the camera is going to record me. There's that time when I was raising my child, when my first son, the time that he was in that their age, that there was a day he came home and I got a report from school that what. By the time he came, I had already prepared my slippers, and then by the time he wanted to say, mate, the slipper was already hitting the bottom. But the thing is that I made my children to know that it got to a point where I was proportionate, but then I would tell them that I'll ask him that, why do you think I did that? And he used to tell me, say, Mom, you did it because you love me. You did it because you love me. And it's not just a line that I asked him to recite. It's a line that I made him to understand that for me to do that is because of A, B, C, D. And just like our brother has said, it's about looking at the opportunities that are here. And I want you to make sure that at least you grow up in such a way that you maximize that opportunity, use that opportunity that is going to help you in the future. But again, like you say, there are times that we will do these things where we are, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. It's no go area. But it comes to a point where if we have explained it, if we have talked, if we have done all the good approaches that we've said and all of that, if we get to the point where something pushed to, then you have to like Nelly said now, Nelly, let me not open my mouth and put myself into trouble. You have said as a social worker, it is a no-go area. But like I agree with our brother. I agree with our brother Vivian. We need to keep talking to our children. We need to keep talking. We should be proud of them. We should be proud of them, because sometimes as parents, our expectation is endless. It's endless in such a way that we don't tend to celebrate these children and really appreciate where they've come from. And we need to be able to embrace what they are doing as well, in terms of it must not only be our way. Let me take, for example, my son, when he had wonderful grades in A levels. In my brain, I knew that university straight, go to uni, because that is how I grew up. That when you finish, you go to university. I want to see you wear that robe on your graduation day, come and stand by your side. And I had my own tick boxes how I wanted him to, but he said no, he's not going down the uni route. He's going down his own route. And me and him went back and forth. But one thing that convinced me is that this boy will work. He was working hard. He will work day and night and pay courses. He wanted to do his own thing. He wanted to do sales. He told me that he invested in himself without my kobo. And the other day, he was just making a joke of me. And he told me, he said, people who graduated in my same year, how much are they earning? And how much am I earning? I asked her, I said, are you asking me that question? He said, yes, I'm asking you, Mom. I could not even answer again, because he chose his path, and that is the path that he wanted, and he succeeded in the path. And that taught me that sometimes as parents as well, we should be flexible. We should be flexible. We should encourage them, the path that they've taken, with all the wonderful, amazing opportunities. If they've chosen a path because again, it's something that they should love, they should enjoy it. We support them, so that they don't go that path that we want, and then they go and then they finish, they graduate, a robe and a certificate, they stand there and looking at you, and then, Mom, what next? They don't like it. So again, what my brother said, absolutely bang on. We need to keep talking to them, and give them that flexibility and support them in that journey that they are taking. Oh, Kate,
Yeah,
Kate has
thank you so much. I think Kate wants to say something. Kate, over to you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think I raised my hand, and in the course of explanation of talking, you've actually highlighted most of the things I wanted to say. But it was, if I can like just emphasize, is the aspect of this chastisement, which is something that the environment and the way the children will like react sometime, like pressing that button, pushing you to the edge. But no matter what the situation is, we must go through the route of non-chastisement, and whatever therapy you're going to use, even if it is the silence one or whichever, but it is not acceptable in any way. And thankfully, we have a social worker in the building. And just linking to an example that Peggy mentioned about the children can take you, I just experienced that in church on Sunday. I'm one of the children liturgy lead, and we did share in our Bible. We read the scripture, and sometimes there's a session for children to answer questions. And the topic we had from the readings this Sunday was like, you should actually, like, God forgives. And is there something in your life that has happened or that you think that you are really upset? And from nowhere, this child said it from the blues. This was a Bible study in church. When I did this, mom and dad, and then immediately he realized, oh, maybe I'll get in trouble. And the person I work with is our safeguarding lead for Sanwell, my county here, in my liturgy, in my church. The person with whom I work for children liturgy is a safeguarding lead. And she picked it up and said, we'll have a chat after children liturgy. So it comes from the blues. Sometimes it's not planned. Like you say, no tell any man or this and that. Sometimes it's in an atmosphere that it was not anything, nothing related to that. We're only sharing, it was gospel sharing.
Yeah.
And they say, we were talking about forgiveness and things like that. And this came up. And then, not to talk much, another aspect that we should promote, especially regarding our background, is complimenting our children, that positive energy.
Yeah.
My experience is that when, for example, my son is really like done something that he knows that is wrong, and he is trying to like make peace with me by doing the needful. Sometimes when he's really done something that is outstanding, like the typical one that we're saying is tidying your room or cleaning after yourself and things like that. Sometimes he'll do it exceptionally well, and I'll say, wow, I'm really proud of you, and I'll do this. And sometimes I'll even order takeaway that was not expected, and it's a shock. It's like he will say, this is a shocker, mom. And those are the kind of ways that we try to put that engine, that positive engine, because trust me, these are children that we talk up to them every day. They have an insight of everything, no matter what we're saying. Because I had a discussion with my son. I say, how come when you have a school trip at 9 a.m., you start packing even 5 a.m. and you even wake up before the alarm? Mom, can I go into shower? Mom, and then on a school day, the alarm will ring and I'm the one prompting you. But when you have a football trip, a leisure trip, you are the one waking me up. Mom, I need to take my breakfast. So when you compare situation like that, you come to see that we just have to keep talking and making it to be in the most respectful way. Not that we are swapping roles, we will still remain the parents, but we should put that positivism in however we are doing it and compliment them all the time. We see all these appearance, say, hey, darling, my baby, my this, my this. Trust me, watch your child and see what they'll do when you give them those pet names or compliment them. And we are all adults, and sometimes the way you feel when your own partner speaks to you in a certain way is exactly how a child will feel. That's the way, like I remind myself each time that I'm pushed to the wall to say, slow down and don't follow your parents' roots.
Yeah.
You do it in the most loving and caring way. And to me, I'm seeing that is yielding more fruits than
Yeah.
if you were to even go through or even think of the other routes, because you even get in more trouble.
Yeah. Very true.
Mm.
Very true.
I've really, really enjoyed this session today. I can't thank you enough. It's been amazing. It's been amazing.
In
So,
in 2 weeks time, we would love to have you guys again. In 2 weeks time, we have another session. Join us. Let's just chat. It's amazing. We're learning from we're learning. You know, it's great. It's great.
yeah, thank you all so much. Thank you for today.